All right, what's up, Michigan fans? Clayton Sayfie here with EJ Holland, both from the Wolverine.com here on Wolverine TV. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel here, give us a like, all that good stuff. But let's get into our topic for today, which is Donovan Edwards, Rivals 100 running back, 2021 player out of West Bloomfield. I'll actually be at his game on Friday, so we'll have some stuff from that. But going into that, it's his first game of the season, so things are kind of moving here with Michigan also taking last week Tavier Dunlap, a three-star running back out of Texas. So, EJ, what does that do for Donovan Edwards' recruitment? We talked about this a bit last week, but in terms of where Donovan Edwards stands and where he sees Michigan right now in his recruitment, is there really much of an impact now that they have a running back committed in this class?
No, we did talk about it last week, and so obviously Tavier Dunlap committed. But no, I don't think so. I think that this is one where Donovan doesn't really care if there is a second running back in the class unless that second running back's name is like Kamar Wheaton, who's a five-star guy. I don't think Donovan minds being part of a class that has a three-star running back. To be honest, I don't even think Donovan Edwards knows who Tavi Dunlap is. And then on top of that, Michigan's always told Donovan, especially here recently, like, hey, taking two backs is a possibility, but you're our number one guy on the board overall. And I think it's true. Like, I don't think Michigan's, making it up or anything from what I've been able to gather. He is the number one overall guy on the board. And, that includes top defensive linemen like Rayshon Benny and George Rooks. Donovan's the must get guy in the class as far as the way the staff views it. And so I think Donovan knows Michigan's being honest about that. And I don't think this will have any impact on where Michigan stands. So Michigan continues to be a major contender in that recruitment.
Yeah, and you mentioned Michigan obviously as a contender, but some of the other big time players in that recruitment, Oklahoma, Georgia, among them, where do those schools stand for him? And what's the latest, I guess, on what those schools are doing to get him, and what he's thinking maybe with those schools in the mix as well as Michigan.
Yeah, so I do think Michigan's main competition continues to be Georgia and Oklahoma, which we've hit on over the last several weeks. I don't think anything's changed from an overall standpoint in Donovan's recruitment. Been there before. So he's made a visit to campus. He really likes the vibe down there. He has a really good relationship with the coaching staff. He loves the running back production from Georgia. Obviously, they've put guys in the league like Todd Gurley and No Sean Moreno and guys like that. But overall, I think that Donovan still has some question marks on whether he'd be a cultural fit going so far away from home. So that's kind of where things stand with Georgia. I know he really, really wants to get a second look. And if visits don't open up here pretty soon, I think Donovan might make his way down to Athens on his own, which would be really interesting. Oklahoma, he's actually hasn't been there, but he has a really good relationship with DeMarco Murray, who is the running backs coach at Oklahoma. And if that name sounds familiar, obviously he was a big time player for the Dallas Cowboys. I actually got to know DeMarco a little bit when I was a PR intern for the Cowboys. And, he's an interesting guy. Obviously, he's been a guy that's done it before, and he did it at OU. He did it in the NFL. And I think Donovan really likes the way he can potentially be developed by DeMarco and what he can learn from, again, a guy who's been there and done it before. So I think that's what makes Oklahoma so appealing. But I would say OU is more about DeMarco than it is about OU. So I would say Oklahoma is probably running third. You have other schools trying to contend for Donovan, like Notre Dame and Michigan State. So the Fighting Mel Tuckers are trying to get in there. And then, you have a few others. I know Texas has been in contact. Ole Miss has been in contact. So there are other schools still kind of there on the outside looking in for Donovan. But right now, I think this is a three-horse race between OU, Georgia, and Michigan.
Three horse race could go to December. but there's been indication, and he's been kind of a kid that has been tough to read, I think, for a lot of people. And you said that he kind of likes to stay out of the limelight, doesn't even really like coaches texting and calling him as much as a lot of other kids like that attention. But um, could he surprise us and maybe commit earlier than a lot of people expect? Could this just be a standard one where he's a big time recruit? He takes it to December near signing day. What do you think on that front in terms of his timeline when he might commit?
Yeah, I like Donovan a lot. I don't think he's doing this for a big drama show. I don't
Hmm.
think he 100% knows he wants to go to Michigan or anywhere else. I mean, he was really close to committing to Ohio State. Like, that's a known fact. You know, obviously, Ohio State got two top 250 backs in Evan Pryor and Travion Henderson, which slowed down his process a little bit. So, you know, that right there tells you he wasn't 100% sold on Michigan. He hasn't been 100% sold on Georgia. There's still question marks there, and he's never been to Oklahoma. So, again, I don't think he's doing this for attention. I mean, Donovan barely tweets. He doesn't respond to anybody, including coaches sometimes, like you mentioned. He doesn't like the process. Like, you know, Rocco Spindler loved the process. Drew Kendall's been this freaking circus. You know, Damon David starting to fall in love with the process. Donovan hates this. Like, I do think he wants to. I don't think he in his mind wants to take it to December. I think he would like to get it over with, but I think Donovan really is a calculated kid. And if we didn't have, you know, COVID going on and the dead period wasn't going on, I do think Donovan would have already made a decision. To be completely honest, I think he would have taken his OVs and made his decision. But with everything going on, I think it's forcing Donovan to make a decision closer to December because he is so calculated, because he does want to see Oklahoma and Georgia, because he doesn't want to make he does want to make sure that he's not missing an opportunity. So I think Donovan is a very authentic and honest kid, unlike some of these other weird recruitments that we've covered this whole cycle. So at this point, I think Donovan could make a decision sooner. Like I said, he might just go down and visit Georgia on his own again, and could potentially go down to Norman. Obviously, those places are very far away from West Bloomfield. But I know Donovan's getting tired of this, and he doesn't want to continue to field phone calls and talk to reporters and talk to coaches. And so I think he would like to get it done sooner rather than later. But at the same time, he's not going to rush it just because the process is annoying to him.
Yeah, we don't know when he'll make his decision. One thing we do know, he will be in action this weekend, starting that West Bloomfield season. A lot of highly touted kids playing with him, so it'll be interesting to see him out there, and hopefully we'll get to talk to him, of course, after the game and just get his thoughts on everything. But EJ, let's say, we're sitting here in mid-September. Let's say Donovan Edwards tomorrow says he sits down and says, I'm going to commit somewhere. I'm going to choose a school. Um, you've kind of made it clear that you believe right now Michigan is that favorite for Donovan Edwards, but your prediction right now, what would that be? What would your prediction be? Maybe if he does go down and see some of those schools down there, and I know that could change some things, but right now in his recruitment, what would that prediction be?
You know, my pick's been on Michigan for more than a
Yeah.
year, and so I have no reason to change it from Michigan at this point. I know a lot of people switch their, you know, predictions when Ohio State uh, kind of took over the recruitment. I never did, mostly because I always felt like Donovan would just end up at Michigan. It's a school that he's obviously extremely familiar with. He has a lot of ties to. His teammates signed with Michigan last cycle, and Cornell Wheeler and Makari Page, and they're in his ear constantly. Ron Bellamy, the head coach at West Bloomfield, is a Michigan alum. And with everything going on with the pandemic, I think it plays in Michigan's favor that right now he's not getting another look at Georgia. And even if he does, it's just going to be him doing a self-guided tour. I think it plays in Michigan's favor that he can't get to OU. And if he does get to OU again, it would be a self-guided tour unless the dead period comes to an end. So right now, Michigan just makes the most sense, to be honest. I mean, again, the relationships are there. the ties are there. Michigan has continued to recruit him every week, and he's been responsive to that. And they're not always, pitching Donovan on come here because of reasons X, Y, and Z. It's more just checking up to see how he's doing and giving him his space. And I think Donovan respects that. And he told me that too when we were out at West Bloomfield, a month ago or so. He told me he likes the way that Michigan kind of leaves him alone, but still checks in at the same time. So I do think that right now, with everything going on, again, I've said this many times, but it plays into Michigan's favor. So if he picked a school tomorrow, I think it would be Michigan. And, from talking to a lot of the commits over the last couple of weeks, they've kind of been trying to recruit Donovan as well. And I know there's a positive feeling around the class that they're in a good spot with Donovan as well.
Yeah, I mean, you saying that you're still confident that it would be Michigan at this point, I think, is music to Michigan fans' ears because they want to protect that backyard. They want to be able to get a Rivals 100 guy right out of West Bloomfield. And like you said, a couple guys in the last class coming from that high school. So we'll keep an eye on it. Like I mentioned a couple times, I'll be out at West Bloomfield this Friday. So we will catch up with Donovan, see what he has for us this time. We had a lot of fun with him last time. You can watch that video on this same YouTube channel. But, he seems like a fun kid to talk to. So we'll see the latest with him this weekend. But EJ, good stuff. What's that promo code everybody can look for over at thewolverine.com? Hit it with us.
Yeah, you can subscribe to thewolverine.com for all your latest recruiting information. We're going to be at games, like Clayton said. He'll be seeing Donovan as West Bloomfield's in action this weekend. Our own Mr. Fox, Austin Fox, will be out on the road seeing Giovanni Ahadi, Michigan's Rivals 100 offensive line commit. And I'll be on the road somewhere. I'm still trying to work it out right now due to some issues, but I'll be seeing a top recruit in 2022. So make sure to lock in. I just finished up my swing through the Northeast and have a ton of information coming out of that trip. So subscribe now. Use promo code BLUE60. You get 60 days for free. You don't have to pay anything. So use promo code BLUE60, 60 days for free at wolverine.com.
There you have it, BLUE60. We'll see everybody next time.